Oh dear. Oh my gosh. There's nothing like a good chuckle to start the day. So, welcome to Friday with Friends. My guest today is the incredible Robert Rivest, who is a mime artist and a yoga laughter instructor and coach. And he must have the strongest stomach muscles of anyone on this planet because of all this laughter yoga stuff. So, Robert, welcome to the show, Friday with Friends.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
So you didn't start off. It is yoga laughter yoga.
It is laughter yoga.
Yeah. So we're going to start laughing. It's just going to be a laugh session. So Rachel Hedman is out in Utah, and we've worked together recently. And Tony Toledo, he's a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine. He's down in I can't think of the name of where he's in Massachusetts. Don't tell me, Tony. I'll think of it. 10 minutes of heavy laughter equals 10 minutes of rowing. Is that true, Robert?
That's what they've said. I think you have to do
Lynn.
athletic laughter in order for that to happen.
Yes. So Tony's a good laugher too. He might start giggling as well where he is. He's in Lynn, Massachusetts. See, I knew I'd remember. So you actually, so I know that you were in the army for a while.
I was in the army for a brief time. Yeah.
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 It's because it fascinates, because Tony was in the army as well, and it fascinates me that, and my friend Papa Joe, that there's, I know a lot of people that have served and they've become storytellers, and their lives are very different from a military life.
There's certainly a lot of stories in the military. And the funny story for me is that, after being in the army, within a matter of months, I started studying mime, right? And dance. And so for me, here I was on one, in a couple of months shooting live ammo, M16s, light anti-tank stuff, doing all that kind of stuff. And then I'm in black tights picking imaginary flowers. That's how diverse I am.
So were you doing this with the other soldiers as well?
No, it's interesting. When I was in basic training, as a kid, I didn't have any, there was no theater in my family, no artists. My father's a design analyst, an engineer. And so growing up, I was always a natural. People said, you should be a dancer. You should be a comedian. You should be a storyteller. You should be an actor. You should be this, this, and this. And I was like, I don't have time for that.
I need to go and kill people.
Yeah, no. And then in the army, basic training, it's like, actually just before the army. See, when I was younger, I was into bodybuilding. I was into lifting weights, being very strong and muscular.
Did you do the Charles Atlas program?
Putting on an armor, And then when I was old enough to go out dancing in nightclubs, I was a little bit clunky and like, Then before you know it, I could dance in any way that anyone could dance on the dance floor. I could mimic any move, create my own, to get to the point where I would be dancing and people would stop dancing and just make a big circle around me and watch me dance. And so that was the performer in me that I didn't even know was in me coming flying out. And then when I was in the army, I was always kind of singing and dancing and goofing off and trying to lift everyone's spirits. And they called me the jukebox because I was singing and dancing and stuff like that. Trying to lift people's spirits. And then that carried over into mime when I started studying mime. The funny thing about studying mime in Paris was that I didn't really understand French.
That'll be a problem. They don't like to speak English.
It was a difficult problem because I felt like my personality wasn't coming through in the few words, you know, when I went and traveled like 11 countries in Europe, every country I could pretty much say, I'm sorry, I can't speak your language. And I felt like my humor wasn't coming through. Same thing with mime. It's like, I know I'm funnier than this. How come I can't translate it into a story?
You don't have to translate mimes.
Well, the thing with mime is that the translating that I'm talking about is that I was thinking in words, and so I would have to translate the words into non-words. Because mime isn't like sign language. Sign language really is sign language. Hi, how are you? There's almost a movement for every word, but mime is not like that. You know, mime is the essence of something. Mime is more like a poem. If you take out a movement in a poem story, you won't understand it. You know, you look down. Sometimes people would hire me and say, yeah, we'd like you to do mime. Well, we're doing lunch. And I'm like, if you look down at your food, you're going to miss the whole section.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. That makes no sense at all.
Oh, yeah.
Some people, it's like, I don't know. People have no idea about art and art forms, and they just think, well, that can go on while we're doing this, and it'll be
right. Well, if it were music, it'd be fine. I know body language and gestures mean something different in other countries.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they definitely do. Like our culture is yes and no, and other culture might not be that. And the same with different gestures, like okay here means something else somewhere that
isn't it,
probably don't want to get into.
But isn't it done like that in the other place?
Oh, maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
Thumbs up could be. You know, it's funny. You remember the show Happy Days?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
The character Fonzie, right? Yeah. Well, I remember doing that around the house as a little kid. I'm like, hey, and my mother said, I know what that means. Don't you do that. I'm like, what? I go, what do you think it means? She goes, up yours. And I'm like, no.
Doesn't no. Well, maybe in some culture it does.
I don't think so. And I'm sorry if this is not the type of place that I could say such a thing. But
I would try not to. It is lunchtime. We don't know who's watching at this particular point.
Yeah, people eat lunch during this. Can you see this?
So apparently the pinky finger is very bad in many countries in South America.
I guess it is. So don't drink your tea like that.
No, that's right. That might get a spot of tea might get me in a spot above her.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh dear.
People saying, because I only see them when they pop up, but I don't see them often.
Oh, okay. So I just popped them up. So the pinky, that's I've shown you them all so far.
I don't see them, but I only see them when they come up right under us. But that's fine.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'll read quick.
All right. So Robert, Tony, my friend Tony said his ex-wife is deaf and always wanted to have another mime night where deaf and hearing would laugh at the same time.
I would like it. We could do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tony would be into getting that organized, but we'll see.
When I went to Hampshire College, and I was a part of the 5 colleges, right? You could take classes at Hampshire, Amherst, UMass, Mount Holyoke, and Smith. And there was a 5-college deaf culture group. Half of the people were deaf. Half of the people were like myself, wanting to learn sign language. So we'd have sign language classes, and then we'd all go out and socialize. And that's where you really learn the sign language.
Right. Yeah, I imagine.
Cool when you're out dancing. And there was a time back then, I put myself through Hampshire College performing as a mime. And I would introduce my mime stories in both English and sign language at the time. But now, without practice, this is practice, my sign language skills have they've gotten less and less and less and less and less. And even back then, my friend said, Robert, you don't do American Sign Language. You do mime sign language. If you can't think of a word, you just act it out.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and there are. So I also learned, Rachel Hedman made a point, says, ooh, that would be good to do with Story Crossroads. So she runs Story Crossroads. She's one of the team of Story Crossroads, the inventor of it, as it were. And they have ASL since they started in 2016. But they do workshops there. So if you want to, I'll send you a link.
Yeah, that'd be great. This is wonderful. I have been hired by sign language teachers to help with expression in sign language. So people are just saying, I love you. You know, how many ways can you say, I love you? I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. You know.
It's well, you know, people do that with words as well. It's like, I love you. I love you. You know, and it's got to be the same with using your body as well.
Oh yeah, using your body, your face. You have disappeared.
Oh, sorry, I gotta put myself back up again. Sorry. Let's merge our faces.
Wait a minute, am I going the right way? Yeah, you do happy, I'll do sad. People are like, that's what about?
I think my face was more demonic than happy, I'm afraid.
I can't feel my bottom lip.
Oh dear.
You know,
these days, what are you doing to keep yourself busy? I mean, are you finding a lot of work?
Well, it's interesting. Before COVID, the majority of my work, my day job, was actually doing a lot of school programs. And then during the summer programs. So library programs. Like last summer, I did 60 library programs and probably 100 school shows.
Wow.
So what I've done is I've taken my mime and I've used it like mime and health, mime and literacy, mime and stress relief. Or I've gone into a school and they'd say, we're having a hard time with resiliency, how to bounce back. Can you do a program on that? So before COVID, I was super busy in schools. And in addition, I did staff stress relief things and programs for corporations. And now it's kind of shifted because the schools and libraries are like, we don't know what we're doing. We can't quite figure this out, which is understandable. And the businesses are like, well, all of our people are at home. Can you Zoom? Can we do a Zoom stress relief session? So I've been doing more business and corporate stuff, and also laughter yoga leader trainings and international paid Zoom sessions. I have a summer series. So it is interesting. And I went from doing the majority of children's work to now doing the majority of adult work. And I am doing some programs through schools and libraries. And it is nice to see the kids again and to hear them laughing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was actually talking to Laura Sims earlier. She does a lot of work with adults. Over the summer, she did 4 weeks with a kids program, and she said it was, you know, it just gave her so much energy back that she was finding herself drained.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Well, some people, you know, as a performing artist, as a mime, I'm hearing some weird sound effects now. As a performing artist and as a mime, people would almost downplay, oh, you work for children and you're not in the theater and you're not out in the world and the main stage. But I tell you what, I love working with children because it really keeps the child in me alive. What I missed lately is that when I'm working with children, I'm going to back up. A lot of what I'm doing is very playful and light, and we're moving from here and there and really just light on my feet and up. And the first few months of the COVID, of this pandemic, I was thinking, I feel heavier. I feel like the gravitational pull is stronger here.
Your bottom is feeling heavy.
And then I realized oh, I'm not jumping around. I'm not light and playful and free. And so I did a bunch of videos where I'm light, playful, and free, but it's not the same, as you know.
No, it's not. It's not. It's that feedback and the energy. Oh my gosh, you just can't. You know, I've done a number of school things as well, and a couple of summer camps virtually online, and the energy. You know, you can feel like a teeny tiny portion of it when you see their faces and you see them bouncing around. You know that it's there, but you don't. It's hard to feel it like you would when it's live, and that's what I really miss.
True. And when you're live, you could, there's sometimes on, pardon?
In person live, as opposed
to. Are you hearing the feedback? Should I be wearing that?
Well, I think so. I think you're just blowing out the speakers, and then it's cutting down the volume and then building back.
I gotta tune back and chill out.
Yeah,
I do like I do for corporations.
I do not want you to chill out. Hang on, I'm just going to check something very quickly. Yeah. So maybe if you go to your, there's a little cog down at the bottom of your screen, and it says cam mic. If you go to that, and then hit, do you see that?
Yes, got it.
Hit audio, and then hit disable audio processing. And maybe that will stop that from happening.
It's actually, oh, I see. Disable audio. Let's give that a try.
Maybe that'll work.
Let me get out of here.
Ooh. No, that's even worse.
Is it worse?
Yeah.
Hello. I'm sorry, we're doing this in outer space. I read an article the other day. Is it
you
worse?
Better turn that back. No, it's not. You got to turn that off. Or put your headphones in.
I will. Let me remember how I got there. Back up my steps. Uh-oh. Here we go. Disable audio processing. It's confusing the way they have it, but anyways.
They do. Let's not do that. Yeah.
So
Rachel's being very chatty today. I think she's had an extra cup of coffee. I don't know.
A story camp. But can I say something real quick if you can remember what you said? Because I was reading the paper the other day, right? Just skimming it. I usually just skim the highlights to make sure we're all still alive and the planet's still working, right?
Right.
So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. This is, California fires. I'm reading them. You got to send some love here. Got to do this. And then I read, muscle-bound mice maintain musculature in outer space or something like that. And I'm just like, what? Forget about all these other articles. And so I'm picturing, little mice. Oh, no, oh, bother. I can never do the maze. It's maze day. Oh, boy. I can't even get through. Everything I do is wrong. What's a maze? Somebody left some dumbbells. Here I am. And then
Danger Mouse.
You're in outer space. Houston, they still have their musculature. They're actually becoming more striated.
It's all that swimming through the non-atmosphere that they got. They're going to come back with like those muscle shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you think you're going to put me in space again? No way, man.
It will really be Mr. Mouse Universe. Or Mr. George.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, all sorts of images went through my head then about them.
Well, that's the thing about being a storyteller, right?
Yeah.
You see a story in everything.
You do. Or a story pops into your mind when you see something happening.
So what was written that I kind of overrode with my mouse story?
Oh, so no, that's all right. It says we've had a limited size proper distanced story camp and are going to our second house concert in that way. So awesome to feel that energy even with the spacing. Yeah, I mean, so I was
good to know.
Away from an audience the other day, and it was very odd because there was even the front row was like this big.
Oh, really? So they're that far away.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, and they all had masks on, and when they were laughing, you could see this, and it was like unless they had something, that would be bitten by something. I don't know.
I have one coming up this month, and I remember when they booked it, they were booking it, and they said, "Yeah, well, we have someone donating this, they're going to pay your full performance fee, but it has to be live. I mean, it has to be in person. And I said, I said, you're talking to a person who's pretty much following the rules. I'm pretty much just stay at home, go to the grocery store, do a couple other necessary things, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I go, have you done them yet? And she goes, yeah, we've done them, and the families are great. They're all set back. They're wearing masks. They're on their either blankets or big hula hoops or whatever. They have their safe distancing. Because I said, I said, my concern is that how kids are. They see the program and they're like, oh my God, that was so wonderful. And they come running up and hug you.
Yeah.
I had a whole group of elementary school, like 200, like 5 kids started to do that. And then the whole audience came up one time. And she goes, no, the families are really good. They get it. So
yeah. That's when you got to buy a cattle prod. It's like back.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. A friend of mine said that's a different form of martial art. Like, hey.
Yeah, the first outdoor in-person gig that I did this summer, I was a little bit nervous, but they all kept their distance. But at the end, the kids are like running around, they're coming up to me, and I had my face mask on because when I was packing up and everything, because I didn't want to,
right.
You don't know if you've got it until it starts to show itself, and
and then you don't know.
And even then you don't know. And a lot of these tests at UNH, they say, well, 80% of the kids that have tested positive, or 80 of the kids have tested positive, but most of them are asymptomatic.
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah, they're showing no signs. Wow. And then we've got a friend of ours, a friend of the family who works in the medical field, and he's saying that 30% of all tests are inaccurate. So it's kind of like,
oh no, don't tell the public that.
No, oops.
And Dale said that he has to keep watching because I'm moving so much. Well, I got to keep moving to keep Dale's interest here.
I know, right? So much Robert's physicality. I may have to wait until you can focus and actually watch. Yes,
that's right.
So it does stay up here on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook, and it's also on YouTube, and you can just watch it whenever you want. Not a problem. So yes, if you're feeling distracted by our giggles and our and our guffawing, then please feel free to visit back at a time that's more suitable.
You're a wordsmith. Have you ever thought about how many words there are about laughter? Giggles, chuckles, guffaws.
Yeah, that's a lot, I bet.
Yeah.
Maybe not as many names as the Inuit have for snow, but
for snow,
English have for rain.
Right. Snow with a little bit of mud, snow with more mud, snow with a ton of mud, no mud in this snow, kind of frozen, a little bit frozen.
My cousin's husband, Ken, he has some wonderful. He has these expressions. There's that very soft mist rain. He calls that lady rain.
Lady rain?
Yeah, lady rain.
Lady rain.
Right, because it's all very delicate and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can say that these days, but
no.
I kind of like it. Yeah. And then he also has like popcorn snow because it looks like popcorn, the big.
Yeah.
Which I really liked as well.
Well, that's an interesting thing as a storyteller, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And as a mime storyteller, because let's say I'm doing a piece about a cloud.
Right.
And if I know a lot about clouds, I might be thinking, well, these are water particles in the cloud. But as a poet, as a mime, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about shapes. I'm thinking about lightness, almost airiness. So as a mime performer, I go back and forth between the two. And I do have a science show for kids. And so one time I did this whole thing, and a woman at the end said, well, it wouldn't really happen that way. And I said, well, this is a mime story.
Yes. Yeah. The clouds are not miming. The clouds are doing it for real.
Are you saying a bald-headed, blue-eyed man wouldn't be floating up in the air like a cloud?
Maybe in some parallel universe, yes, but not this one.
Or when someone says, you don't look like your photo, and I'm like, that's because I'm three-dimensional. Hey!
I know, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I had the negative in the wrong way around when I printed it up.
I don't look like this?
I smell different too.
Scratch. You know,
Is anybody else laughing with us? I hope they are.
the same thing. I mean, you and I are totally entertaining ourselves, and I
I
bet
know we are, and that's the whole point. I mean, the whole point of this is so that I can see people that I really like and hang out with them and just like forget about everything else that's going on around.
what we're
This is
doing.
a totally selfish show, to be honest.
I love it. You know what's funny? My daughters, I'll say something funny. I'll laugh my head off, and they're like, "You think you're so funny?" I go, "I really do. I get my sense of humor better than any human being on the planet Earth, and I love it." And they're like,
See, my daughter's the same as you. She can make herself laugh, and she'll just like walk around the house chuckling, like walk around the house chuckling to herself, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it when she does that.
"It is funny how some people can do that, and also some people have a contagious laugh."
Yes.
Like there's one guy that supposedly has the most contagious laugh on the history of the planet Earth. How you judge that, I don't know, but he laughs like this. Yep, 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 yep.
Wasn't there a cartoon character that used to laugh like that?
Lovely. Yeah, you know what's funny? You go back and look
Yeah.
into all the cartoon characters. You know, here's
Yuck, 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 yuck.
a
Wasn't it? Maybe it's Goofy.
Hi, hi, Oliver.
I don't know. Well, it's a funny story about a cartoon character in mime.
Okay.
I'm teaching mime classes at a dance studio.
Hmm.
A young girl came in. She was deaf, and she wanted to take my mime class. Maybe she was a teenager, maybe preteen. But she came in, and she started, she said, "I can do mime." I said, "Well, where did you learn it?" And she said, "From watching the Pink Panther cartoon."
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And when you think about all those old cartoons, not only are they really animated, but they have the whole orchestra or symphony backing them up.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they're doing, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But so you could get some timing from that. You could get some takes from cartoons. You can actually do a lot of physical. The old cartoons.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Pink Panther, I don't think there was any dialogue in them until later on. I think they were all music and movie.
Yeah,
Stick stuff, wasn't it?
I think you're right. I don't remember any dialogue in that.
So I think
We could have to go back and look at it.
I know, because I remember I watched some of the old shows with my kids when they were little, and I remember that there was no talking in like the first few seasons, and then the inspector started to talk, and it kind of like, well,
you lose something.
You do.
I mean, that was like with Charlie Chaplin. When the talkies came in, I think he did a whole nother year of staying silent because he said if his character, the tramp, spoke, it would be he would lose everything. And when he did speak, he made the film called The Great Dictator, and the speech that he gave at the end, where his character Charlie Chaplin, because of the mustache, was mistaken for Hitler.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that movie?
I haven't. It's on my watch list, but I haven't seen it
Please
yet.
watch it, The Great Dictator, because the speech that he gives at the end is really, it's still being played. I still see it on Facebook. People will pop it up and say, here's a great humanitarian speech. So all of you people out there watching, especially if you've never watched any Charlie Chaplin, go check out Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. We were talking about.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and who else
Harold Lloyd.
Harold Floyd. He was my He was my favorite.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite. I loved watching him because in England they used to play all of those old shows like on Saturday morning.
You know, these guys were cartoons.
Yeah.
And they used their own bodies. They didn't use themselves.
And the stunts that they used to do was insane.
You know, like the riding on the back of the fire truck, right? They'll do the whole fire truck scene
Yeah.
And, you know, going over bumps, and then the wind takes them, and their whole body's totally horizontal, and you know, Harold Lloyd climbing up the clock, that whole thing on the clock, and
Yeah.
physically
And there was
doing
no safety net for that. Did you know that? I
it.
have a book. I have a book all about Harold Lloyd. It's about his life, and he and Chaplin would hang out, and I think Douglas Fairbanks Jr. I don't know.
Yeah, they were friends.
Yeah, and they would all hang out together. And there was no safety net underneath that clock scene.
Could you imagine their bodies?
Oh,
How when they get older?
yeah.
Charlie Chaplin broke a foot when he was maybe in his 70s or late 70s. He goes, "I broke my foot stepping off a curb when I used to throw my body in all of you know, my whole body contorted in all these different things."
Yeah, they're amazing athletes. So I want to bring up a comment that Tony Toledo said. Do you know Royal Sorrel? He's
Royal Sorrel, yes.
Sorrel. Okay, so he apparently spoke very highly of you, and Tony now sees why. So,
Thank you, and thank you, Tony. I have seen you play. I love your energy. I
yes.
really appreciate your energy, and to me, it's very similar to mime. Mime has a lot of musicality and rhythm. If we're going to become a plant, we don't just go, "I am a plant." It would be more
Yeah.
like, musicality.
Yes. And Tony is he's like that when he tells his stories. He's
Great energy.
yeah, he's
Great
phenomenal.
energy.
I love
And
Tony.
Royal Sorrel was a mime. We both studied. I studied mime in Paris, France, with Marcel Marceau at his school there, but also took many of the American seminars when Marceau would come over here, which was interesting because at his school in Paris, I would have him for 2 hours a day, and then I would have acting and fencing and stick fighting and acrobatics and dance and many other things to keep the body flexible and other styles of mime. But when he came to the US, I would have him for 6 hours. And
That must have been amazing.
and so Royal and I think, met at one of those. Yeah, Marceau, what an amazing human and great humanitarian. I mean, when he was young during World War II and the Nazis had taken over France, he helped over 200 children escape the Nazis by creating, he was an artist, a visual artist, as well as a mime.
I didn't know.
And he created fake passports for the children to get across.
No way.
And he also escorted them, entertaining them along the way with mime, silently keeping their hopes up, their spirits up, by silently entertaining them as they would cross the borders.
So is that how he got into mime? Or was he
No,
already a mime artist?
He was already a mime before that, before the army. He loved Charlie Chaplin as a kid and used to imitate him as a kid. And then he went to a certain school where he studied with Etienne Decroux, who is known as the father of modern mime, where most of the illusions and corporeal mime comes from. Etienne Decroux. I studied with Etienne Decroux's son, Maximilien Decroux, at Marceau's school. So cool lineage there.
Is the school still going?
It's not still going. Marcel Marceau, you know how time goes. I can't remember how many years ago he died. Marcel Marceau died about 10 years ago, and the school, you know, went with him as well. And he performed when he was 80 in the U.S. And I went to see his show, and my friend Greg Goldston was holding the signs for Marcel Marceau, and we went out to dinner after. He liked sushi. So here was this 80-year-old man who did a 2-hour solo physical show, 80 years old, 2-hour, and we stayed out till 2 a.m. talking and chatting and joking. And the best story of it was someone came in during the dinner, and they said that someone came during Marcel Marceau's show. They came in to the ticket booth and said, "I want my money back." And they said, why? And they said, that can't be Marceau. He's too young. And so when the gentleman told Marceau that, he absolutely loved that.
Yeah, I bet.
He goes, oh, that was someone from my generation, probably. They just don't get how young you could be. Good for all of us.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So people don't. Maybe the people don't realize that you're 104 now. Is it?
That's right. I'm 104. And the things that I do is going through my joints with a mime every day, facial expression, keep me youthful, and also being highly immature.
I think there's a lot of that because I'm very immature as well, and I've been told that I don't look 56. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Immaturity and self-entertaining.
Yeah, right. And laughing.
Ask for anything more.
That's right. That's right.
Any other thoughts or questions?
Well, Rachel Hedman, she did say that she did put up this earlier. Other words for laughter. Wordhippo.com. What is another word for laugh? So I think I might have to go there, actually.
She looked up the yeah,
she
look
did.
Like there's guffaw, chuckle. I made a whole list one time. I grabbed a whole list. I went to the dictionary. I looked up a whole list for laughter, and then I made a few sentences out of it. You know, using every single word. I think I made a few paragraphs out of it. While he's doing that, I'm going to laugh.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I'm still being seen, but it's like you're making me laugh. Which is what word yoga is. I mean, laugh.
Laughter yoga.
Yes, there are quite. So as a verb, chortle, chuckle, giggle, cackle, titter, roar, snigger, guffaw, snicker, howl, hoot.
Keep going.
Be convulsed, convulse, crow, fall about with, fracture, grin, scream, shriek, snort, twitter, whoop, break up, be in stitches, fall down, have hysterics, hysteria, hee-haw. I love hee-haw. That's a really good one. Express amusement. That must be the British way of saying to.
Of course. Yes. Oh, they must.
I would like to express amusement at Robert Rivest.
Yes.
I like convulse, crease. Convulse is such a good one. Double up, split your sides. Yeah, my brother Colin, who has a very dry sense of humor. If I do a really bad joke, he'll be like,
he'll just give you the
oh, that hurts. Or he'll do the other thing that he does is
funny. You joke bomb.
Yeah, he's got a very, very wonderful dry sense of humor.
And subtle too.
Yes, express amusement. Yes. I'd like to express amusement.
Well, you know, there have been people throughout time, and I can't remember. Was it Plato? Was it Socrates? One of them was against humor. Was against showing laughter in public because it looked like you're insane. To lose control in public while laughing,
yeah,
was a negative thing.
I think it was probably Plato. But yeah, but I think that we're coming back to that right now, aren't we? These days are starting to feel like that. Because if you spontaneously laugh outdoors in a public place, people will turn and like, what are you laughing at? What are you got to be so happy about?
But not anymore.
You don't think so?
Well, we're mixing two different things. You're thinking because of COVID and the pressures that they're like,
right.
And here's what I'm thinking: modern life. Before, you're in the grocery store just going. Now you have an ear thing in.
Yeah.
And they think you're having a conversation that's funny. No one doubts it anymore. No one's like, because at first I'm like, who's this guy talking to? Oh, he's talking on the phone. He's doing that. He's so proud of his conversation. He wants to share it with us.
Yes. So now if we want to be insane, all we've got to do is plug in these things.
And if we want to be really insane, the bigger ones.
Oh, the snort laugh. That's always a good one.
That's I have a friend. I have a friend that works on a farm, and she laughs like this.
She hangs around with the horses too much.
And you know, actually, there are scientists that study laughter and
That doesn't surprise me.
and the evolution of laughter, and it really feels like that when gorillas and other animals that pant, not panting because they're hot, but when they're playing, like when chimpanzees play, how do they know they're not really fighting? Is the panting, the laughing there.
Oh.
That's what's said. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but that type of leads to that. And then the future, it'll probably lead to, I don't know. What else are people saying? It looks like...
So, yeah, I got a couple of things. Yeah, so Dale says, yes, just make an I'm sorry face and point to your ear. I like that. And my friend Via has said, I inherited the tendency from my mom, but I also forever laughing out loud in public. Sometimes in inappropriate, inopportune times. Yes, I do.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
there's a story about that.
Let's hear it.
Well, the story about this person that went to a funeral and started laughing, and everyone says, "Why are you laughing at this funeral?" And they're like, "Because I'm remembering all the wonderful things that happened." And they went to a wedding and they started crying, and I can't remember why they were crying. Maybe somebody here will know the story as well, because we've got a lot of storytellers watching this.
Because they had 4 marriages? I don't know.
No, maybe, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember. I have to go and look it up now because it's bothering me. But yeah, it's interesting.
Well, there is a laughter yoga exercise called silent laughter, and I usually ramp up the intensity of silent laughter by imagining that you are someplace, especially as a kid, that you weren't supposed to laugh, and that made the laughter much richer, much louder, much more explosive coming out of the body. Like you're in school, you're not supposed to laugh. You're in church or synagogue, you're not supposed to laugh. You're at a funeral as a little kid,
Yeah.
So this is how it looks in laughter yoga and mime. And then there's the can't stop laughing. There are studies where they must have been sociologists, went around the world to figure out why do people laugh. And you would think people laugh because of humor, jokes, comedy, entertainment, all that jazz. The reason people laugh the most is hearing each other laugh. I mean, think about it. You're with a bunch of somebody says something, it's kind of funny, and one person goes, another person goes, and the third person is the snorter, then the fourth person, and then you're laughing not really at the dumb thing that happened. It's a social thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that I miss. I went from entertaining either thousands of children through the performances or adults through these laughter yoga presentations that I do. Thousands of people smiling, looking at me, laughing with me.
Yeah.
And that's when I made a bunch of YouTube videos. I made 80 YouTube videos dealing with stress relief. I called them quarantine stress relief. Because
I've actually watched a couple of those.
Because of my background, I think I have a lot of ways to get through difficult times, right? I mean, through mindfulness, through Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, laughter yoga, positive thinking. I have a lot of different ways to get through. So I made a bunch of them. And I realized they were helping me as much or more as anyone because I had to give something. not only was I not seeing people smiling and laughing, which messed with my endorphins and all the positive chemicals I was no longer getting, but I wasn't giving. And so by making those videos, I felt like I was giving back, even though.
See, you're a much more generous person than I am, because I just did this show, which is completely nuts.
Yes, but it's entertaining us. It's entertaining us. Who cares? Earworm.
So I want to share something that Tony came out. So this is I've just put up Robert's YouTube channel, which is nice and easy. YouTube.com/user/Robert Rivest.
Slash.
I'm gone. I'm out of here. But Tony, hang on. Oh, there's a few comments coming in. Hold on. Oh, shoot, it's gone
Who
again.
wants to talk to the mime?
Who wants to demand?
Line up.
A while back, Tony said
Apart.
he was sitting at a counter at Stephanie's restaurant here in Beverly, reading Don White's book. Do you know Don White? You must know Don White. Memoir of a
Don Juan.
student. I laughed so hard I shot coffee out of my nose. Oh my gosh, I've done that. Actually, my brother, we were talking. This is like when I don't know how old we were. We must have been like 10, 12, somewhere around there. And my brother, and Vaya was saying, that's the best kind of laughter. And it is. My brother and I, we were talking with our neighbors. There were two girls next door, and there was me and my brother. And we kind of had a hot crush on both of these girls. And we were out there in their driveway talking and everything. And my brother had the equivalent of a lifesaver in his mouth. And I can't remember if he started laughing or whether he just like choked on it, but it shot up his nose and it got, which must have been one of the most painful.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he was able to get it out, and he shot it out into his hand and he shoved it in his mouth again and ate it. He stopped eating it. It was disgusting.
Well, as a class clown, it's high praise. As a kid, goofing off in the lunchroom, it is high praise to have that chocolate milk go through.
It is. It is. That's what we try for.
And a funny gross story for you. You ready for some gross stories?
Oh, yeah, I am.
So I got out of the Army. I'm working at Hallmark Cards in the shipping dock, but I used to come home during lunchtime to have lunch with my nephew, my much younger nephew, right? And I was teaching him how to play chess and checkers. We're playing chess, and we're eating because I have lunch break. We're eating, and I said something. He starts laughing, and his food goes from his mouth to the chessboard, and I went, gross! And I flicked it, and he was still laughing, and it went right back in.
Oh, no way! Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Oh, oh dear. So Dale was saying, I love to laugh from the original Mary Poppins movie.
I love to laugh. Long and loud and clear. I love to laugh. It's getting worse every year. Hey, I'm a mime. I can't sing.
I know. You can't stop miming either, which is great. I love that.
Well, I can't. Everything that I do is interconnected. Everything is totally. When I was at, there's a store called Bread and Circus before Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
A grocery store, a healthy grocery store. A healthy, expensive grocery store. So
yes.
I went in, and I had probably just done a mime gig because I was paying like this, and I didn't even realize that I was, paying as if who knows what. And
did you have money in your hand, or were you faking?
I did, and the woman said, "Oh, thank you." The young woman, she was my age. She goes, "Oh, thank you." We became friends after that, and
she did. Nice.
She knew sign language and was actually a sign language interpreter, and then worked with. There's a deaf theater group that was out of Connecticut, and she worked with them for a while. So yeah, it's funny the places that you meet people and overact in.
I know, right? I know. So Tony said all right, he did 2 comments. totally off topic. When I had my 4 wisdom teeth removed, he made earrings and sent them to his niece, Jessie, who loves them. Her husband, less so. I know that's when you can say, "Oh, you're chewing my ear off."
Either that or you're watching it ah! I don't know if you know,
I know the magnetic ones.
Mike Tyson bit someone's ear in a fight. But
Well, I used to play rugby, and there was a kid that lost his earlobe in a rugby match one year. This is like when I was at high school, you know. But yeah, another guy lost his like a chunk taken out of his calf, not his calf muscle, his thigh leg, his thigh, because someone was like tackling him and they bit him to bring him down sooner. Shouldn't really laugh, but it's true.
Well, it's what's comedy.
And yeah, it is.
At a distance. Either your own and you've gone through it and you can laugh about it, or someone else.
Right.
They went right through the manhole cover. What I was thinking when you were reading about the wisdom teeth, I thought he was going to talk about when I get them out in the future.
No, he's got them out. He's taking them.
But a friend of mine in Japan, a student of mine, she was having her 4th child and she decided to have a laughter birth. And so she had all of her friends call her laugh. She played one of my CDs. I had a CD of laughing that I made in Japan. And so she played that, and the child was born surrounded with laughter.
Oh my gosh.
And she helped use it for pain threshold stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. So my mother tried a similar technique with me when I was in the womb. She went to see Dr. Strangelove and it worked. But having heard that story for years and years, I ended up watching it and I was like, it's not that funny. I mean, it's a dark kind of humor. I don't know how she...
Well, you know, maybe when she was in the states she was in, different chemicals flowing through.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, Dr. Strangelove.
Get it out of me now.
Throw shoes at the husband, right? There's
Yeah. Well, it was a few years later before she started doing that to my dad.
But that's another story.
Oh, it is another story. Yeah.
We'll
So you do a lot of work. You do a lot of work in Japan, right?
Yeah, I've been to Japan, I think around 7 times, starting in 2013. I love it there so much, and I'm not able to go now, but I am once a month. I'm doing a 2-hour Zoom session with participants in Japan with the translator. The other thing that was my teaching style drastically changed when I went to Japan because it became more of a poet. I'm used to, in a teaching class, sending my energy to who I'm teaching. It's direct energy. And when you're somewhere where you have a translator, it's going through them. And so I decided to speak less and become more and animate more and do that, which was no problem for me.
Yeah, not so easy for a storyteller like myself. Exactly.
Do that 5 times a day and call me in the morning.
5 times a day and call you each morning? Or at the end of the week in the morning?
Let me get back to you. The end of the week.
Oh dear. Tony's has to go. He's going to go and paint outside before it rains. I'm not sure what he's painting.
You're going to paint the outside?
I think
it's
he is.
World, but I wouldn't want to paint it. Come on, man.
But he says thank you for a wonderful hour.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing with us.
Yeah, Tony's a good guy. He's a great guy. So you've seen Tony a few times then? Or just the once?
I believe so. You know, it's all a blur.
It is now. It is now. It's like time seems to fly by. You know, it's like, you know, it was Wednesday, and I was like thinking, isn't it Monday today?
Yeah, things are becoming more of a blur. And, you know, I do meditation.
Yeah.
And my meditation has changed since COVID because of how much I'm on the screen, either in Zoom sessions or doing interviews like this, or working on my website or promoting stuff, that it's constantly when you're online, you're flipping from one thing to the next really quick. You're on the phone. And then when you sit down to meditate or just focus on your breathing, your mind's like, well, what about this? Hey, what about that? It's like, yeah, that's nice, but I'm just breathing.
Yeah. Yeah, when I got to a point where I had to have a notepad next to me because all these thoughts were coming in my mind, I'll just write that down. And then when I'd written like 4 or 5 things down, the brain starts to slow down. And I was like, oh, there we go. That's the last thing. I think I can remember anything else that might come up. But yeah.
Well, there's some meditation like that too, where you say, I'm hearing ghosts. I must have moved too much. There's a meditation technique where you say to the brain, okay, brain, do as many things you can as fast as you can. And the brain goes,
really? I'm gonna try that. Okay, all right, everybody, we're gonna close our eyes. Leave your wallets on the table in front of you. It's like you were in person. That's what I do with the kids. We're gonna do a guided meditation. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths. If you have any money in your pockets, take it out, and you'll see kids reaching in their pockets.
Really, yeah, you gotta be careful.
It's like, no, I'm kidding. So let's do this. All right, we're gonna close our eyes.
Think of as many thoughts as you can, as fast as you can.
Gosh, you're right. You're right.
You know another interesting technique?
Now what?
That was from mindfulness. This is from Qigong. There's something called soft gaze, where you see everything all at once. Like right now, we're hyper-focusing on that little green dot so that it looks like I'm looking right at you. But
I love you, Robert.
No. So don't imagine.
Okay.
Just look at everything all at once that's in front of you. See high above, see low below, see as wide as you can. See everything without jumping from thing to thing. See everything all at once in a soft gaze. And that too is usually enough to empty the mind.
Yeah.
You can't really be thinking, oh, I got to do the groceries as I'm looking at everything.
Yeah, it's true. And I find the soft gaze is much easier attained if I take my glasses. Because everything kind of softens right then.
You know, it reminds me of a quick story. Do I have time for a quick story?
Oh, absolutely. We always have time for a quick story. Yes.
So I'm studying with Marcel Marceau, and Marcel Marceau's style is so well stylized. And his style was really made for when you're in 3,000 seat auditorium, projecting. And I'm with 200 students, usually sitting right on the floor right in front of me. And so I was saying, is there another way I can do this? And we were going back and forth, and then later, and I said, I'm so sorry. It's not that I'm disrespecting you or saying that I don't want to do what you're doing. I'm just wondering if there's another way. And he said, okay, it's okay, I understand. And then later he was teaching an exercise called, eyeglasses. The eyeglasses are here, and when they're in front of your face, your eyes get bigger to show the lens.
Okay.
And so he was teaching that, and I did it in front of him. And then we improvised like a 10-minute skit. He and I just improvised playing, and he put his arm around me and said, you see, we're not so far apart.
That's good. I like that.
It was really nice.
It was.
You know how
you're going to do, I'm going to very quickly, because Tony's dropped off. I don't want anybody else to drop off before we mention this, but you're doing some yoga, laughter yoga. See, I can't say it properly. Laughter yoga training on October the 24th and 25th. It's online training. So this is just so that idiots like myself can learn how to.
It's laughter yoga leader training, so that
leader training, right? Yeah.
The history about laughter yoga. You can learn all the different techniques of laughter yoga. You can learn the science that backs up laughter yoga. You'll learn how to teach programs in laughter yoga for schools, colleges, seniors, prisons, wherever you want. There's a lot of science out now showing the health benefits to your mind and body. And so this is the quickest delivery system I know is laughter yoga. Sorry to sound like a little bit of an advertisement there, but
That's all right. That's what we want to do. You know, I want to show all of my friends.
because I think most people are
I
like,
think it's
"Oh,
important."
we just sit around and laugh."
Yes. I want to share my friends with everybody else. I think that's. And if you want to find out about that workshop, then you go to.
You go to robertrivest.com and you hover over laughter yoga, and you'll see
Your keys are laughing.
one of my two dogs that have maintained radio silence this whole time, but now
Wow, that's good.
it is kind of amazing, actually. And two cats we have.
Nice.
So what was I saying? Laughter yoga. Robert Rivest.
You hover over the laughter yoga.
You'll see that the 2-day training will come up and there's information there, or you can just email me and I'll get to you right away.
And your email is on your website, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
rivestnow@gmail.com. Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Please.
So there's something else I was going to ask you, and it was something to do with that.
Something about, do I take donations? You have thousands of dollars that you just got in a lottery and you don't know where to put it. Was that the question?
Yes, it was. So send it to me and Robert. Send it to me first, and I'll split it with him. I promise.
That's right. His wife will do all the calculating. She loves numbers. So.
Oh, she does. My wife does love numbers. It was something that we were talking about, and I said, you got to tell us about that on the thing. And I can't think of what it was. I've been trying to remember it.
You know what my grandmother used to say when she couldn't remember something? She goes, "Oh, I can't remember. Must have been a lie." Are you still there? It looks like you froze.
I'm still there. You froze a minute as well. Am I still here? Am I moving around? Am I there? So we did that. We did some friends. Yes. Yeah, right. There's got to be a way of doing that. I haven't figured it out yet.
What, the ears?
No, it's like, no, you do that, and then it's got to come out the back somehow.
Go out the other side. Oh, wait a minute. I was able to do it before, but now I'm seeing things in reverse, so I'm going
I
to
can't. Yes, it's. So maybe that's what it is. And then no, I don't know. Oh my gosh, my eyes are watering. I'm having so much fun. Oh lordy.
And wasn't it funny? You're like, "Gee, I don't know about this. He's a
Well, I wasn't. No, I
He's going to say anything."
well, that wasn't what I said. I said I think we will have a lot of fun, but I don't know you that well. And I was.
I'm a storyteller. I exaggerate
I know.
everything, including this.
You do very good at exaggeration. So I do have to say this. I think I've said this to you before, but I've only written it down. But I want to say it kind of face to face as this is that I really do appreciate what you do as a mime artist, putting stuff out there, and also some of the comments that you've put out on Facebook. You know, you did that whole thing that I actually printed out, and I sent you a picture of that because you know I do have days like everybody else, and you know when it's a particularly tough day, that's one of the things that I add to my practice is to read that out, and so I say thank you very much for all of the work that you do, for all of the people like me that you probably don't even realize that you're helping out, because you know, you're a special guy and you have a special talent, and I really appreciate you, all of you. So
thank you. And
thank you for being out there, and thank you so much for being on my show, Friday Friends.
Yeah, anytime. I had a blast.
I'm glad you did. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Send your love to Robert. You know what his website is. It's right down there. Not too much love though, just enough, because you know this is the 2020s, and we got to think about what we do with our love. So thank you everyone for being here, and Robert, I think we can just end it by laughing ourselves out, right?
Ready? 1, 2, 1.
So everybody.